Okay, so let's talk about narrowing down your niche. How do you get crystal clear on who you're going to serve? So I want to talk about this from a coaching or a consulting point of view. But this is also applicable if you're selling a product online as well. So ultimately, it's going to boil down to demographics and psychographics. Demographics are the external characteristics of your market. It's things that you can notice right away that are on the surface. Someone's income, their gender, what they do for a living, their location, stuff like that. Psychographics are the internal characteristics that you don't notice it right away from just looking at them or analyzing some statistics. Although I guess you could, but really you notice it more from just hanging around these people, noticing their values, their thoughts, their beliefs, their mindset, like the whole level of energetic vibe that they put out as you're communicating with them. Both demographics and psychographics to me are really important for honing in on your niche. So on the demographic side, most people would tell you, and most are heavily biased toward their income. Hey, if they have the money, they're able to pay me, and so let's segment, let's find the right level of income. That's not necessarily the only thing you want to look at. You also want to look at their professional role from a standpoint of, as an identity. If you know what it's like to be that person, if you can live a day in their shoes, or you already have lived a day in their shoes, you know what they're going through on a daily basis, and you know how they identify with their position, with what they do for a living. When you have messaging that goes out to that person, it's going to resonate more because it's clear that you have a connection with these types of people. If you just go for the biggest fish in the sea, but yet you don't really know anything about that person, that's going to be apparent in your messaging and in your marketing. So from a demographic point of view, right away, I suggest going for people that not only have the means to pay you financially, but that identify in a professional role with something that you know a lot about, right? So for me, for example, I work with a lot of coaches that still have a job that want to leave that job and go full-time in their coaching business. So I work with a lot of people in corporate America, and as someone that's been through that with several marketing and sales positions in the past, I'm much more likely to resonate with that type of person, understand where they're coming from, than trying to help someone in a different industry that I know absolutely nothing about at all. Right? I think hopefully this makes sense. So I look at that. Another key factor demographically when I'm narrowing down the niche that I serve is I look at what prior investments have they made. So I look at if for example, I'm wanting to help someone that wants to hire me one-on-one, or that's what we're talking about, I want to see if they've hired other people one-on-one and if they've paid a comparable rate. If this whole thing is brand new to them and they're used to free or cheap resources, and then I come across with a lot of contrast and say, hey, to work with me is 20 or 30 grand, that's not going to go over so well. So I want to make sure that my market is already invested at a level that is somewhat comparable. It's okay if I'm higher priced, but it's comparable to what they're used to investing in, if that makes sense. And then one other big factor I look at is who demographically has the highest chance of getting the most meaningful results from working with me. For example, if I'm a dating coach and I'm targeting two different niches or groups, do you think I would have more success going after a group that lives at home with their mother, it's like a starving artist making less than $30,000 a year, or an upper middle management person like a CEO or somebody in upper management at a business? If I'm looking to get that person dates and then potentially find their soulmate, I'm probably going to have a much easier time working with that upper management person. Not just because they make more money, but because they have more resources at their disposal, right? They have more going for them. They have a greater network they can tap into. It would be easier to get them from A to Z. So when you're choosing your demographics, keep that in mind too. Next thing we're going to talk about to wrap this thing up is the psychographic side. This is a side that I feel is largely neglected. Way too many people just go for the money. Who would be most likely to hire me? Okay, maybe I'll look at I could get results for, but really just who would be most likely to hire me? Who has the money to pay me? Let's niche down based on that. To me, that's the wrong decision to go. Number one, because your heart isn't in it at all. And number two, it actually makes having those people hire you a lot more difficult. When you look at the psychographic side, this would be, in a nutshell, how you feel when you're talking to someone. If you were to sit down with your ideal client and have an hour-long meal with them, how do you feel at the end of that? What kind of person would they have to be for you to sit down and have that time with them and it it's incredible for you. You hit it off, you have a lot in common, it's fun. You feel like you could even be friends with that person. What kind of mindset would they have to have? What would they value? What would be the top of their mind during that conversation that comes out and lets you know, ooh, we have these things in common? For me, it's somebody that's fun, that comes from the heart, that's willing to take risks, that has thick skin, that's adventurous, and also somebody that's really smart. If they have those things going for them, typically I hit it off with them, and typically I find I'm in an even greater position for them to become my client or my customer. Because it means we have more in common, we're gonna have more rapport, and as we hit it off and find more in common, we're both gonna value the same thing, which in this case is them working with me. So don't just choose your niche based on their geography and how much money they make and what they do for a living. Base it also on the psychographic side, the energetic side. When you put both of those two things together, you can carve out, whether you call it an ideal client avatar or your target customer, you can carve out something that gives you the best chance of them working with you, gives you the best chance of someone really connecting with you and feeling understood and like you get them and what their particular challenges are. It gives you the best chance of signing up clients quickly as well. You don't want to have a message that just goes out to everybody like you're shouting at everyone, hey, I can help the world get what they want. You want to have a message that is intended for one type of person with one type of energetic profile and one type of demographic profile. It just hits home with them because there's thousands upon thousands of these people out there, and they're much more likely to want to purchase from you and or work from you. So that is it. That's how you narrow down your niche. Let me know if this was helpful for you. As you have questions, leave them in the comments below. Be sure to subscribe to this channel. We'll be creating new content once and even twice a week, just depending on how we're doing right now. We're moving actually, so we're in the process of getting everything out of this house into our new house. I'll be sharing that to come as well. So thank you for watching. Take care. Peace.